My name is Justin Davis. I am your host tonight, filling in for Mr. Antoine McVeigh. His new nickname is IO because that's how he spells his name, and he is all over crypto and precious metals. So let's define it. Bullion, okay? It's not the stuff you put in chicken soup. It's bullion. It's precious metals. It actually comes from the definition is based on a French word to boil, is how that translates. And of course, you've got to melt metal to get it in the shape that we like it. Spot price obviously is the up and down movement that is discovered through supply and demand, and like it or not, manipulation. So we've actually come across that from time to time. There was a lot of that in 2020. There's been a lot of that in 2026 so far. What can't be faked or manipulated is the demand. Okay. Everybody wants precious metals because the whole world financially is looking to use precious metals to back their fiat currency. It all used to be backed on nothing, literally straws and bamboo and hay and uh, even flower petals. We moved on to precious metals. That worked great. We moved on to fiat currency. That worked horribly. And now the world's just moving back to precious metals. So, spot price, an easy way to think of it, it's the midpoint between what most people are willing to pay for something and what most people are willing to sell that something for. So, in terms of precious metals, every kind of metal has its own spot price. So gold has its own price, silver has its own price, platinum, palladium, rhodium, whatever the metal is, it's all has its own unique price. But what most people forget is that every kind of metal, let's just say every kind of gold, will also have its own relative price relative to spot. That's a mouthful. Let me see if I can put that in different terms. So in terms of effort or labor, it's a lot easier to make a 100-ounce bar of gold that you just literally melt and pour into some kind of cast where you know that once this fills up, it will weigh 100 ounces. That's very easy to do, relatively speaking, versus something like this, which is a 1 gram piece of gold. It's got a little bit of artwork to it, and it takes 32 of these, 31, whatever the number is, 32.15 ounces in a kilo. So it's 31 grams for a one troy ounce of gold. So you can see this is about the size of a dime. Not sure if it's coming through or not. But it's a lot more expensive, relatively speaking, to make this than it is that huge chunk, that huge bar of gold. And then on top of that, you've got that is just added on to spot price, something like this. This is a Chinese panda from 2011, MS70. It's the old design. They change it every few years. But, in terms of collectability, China has since stopped exporting their gold and silver. And because of that, this is obviously 2011, so relatively easy to get a hold of back then, and certainly at a much less price than what they are today. But they're not making any more of these for the rest of the world. So obviously that has a lot more collectability. And then you take something like this 2016 MS70 Year of the Monkey out of Australia, the Perth Mint. They simply just don't make very many of these. Okay, so gold is expensive, easier to make. The smaller the piece, the more expensive it is. Then you have collectability, where you just can't get your hands on it anymore. And then you have scarcity. Okay, so that's kind of how spot price works. Ask is what the seller is asking for their product. The bid is what a typically like a bullion buyer or a store would pay a non-dealer for it, and then they would make the difference. That's called the spread. A premium is the amount over spot, depending on what it is. You know, old panda, 1 gram, highly collectible, things like that. Metal versus metal, I think you got it. I just threw that in there just to make sure everyone knows when it's talking about precious metal, it's with a T, and the gold medal at the Olympics is with a D. Numismatic, that's a very important word. If you take something like that 100 troy ounce gold bar I was talking about a moment ago, it's not really numismatic. It's beautiful, it's pure, it looks great, and it's a store of value, no doubt, but that's definitely considered bullion. If it's bullion, it'll have a known purity and stated weight. So you're going to get its weight, you're going to get its content. Everyone's on the same page. You can test it. It's exactly what it's supposed to be. That's bullion. Numismatic value comes into play. It's actually numis as meaning money. It's the study of money. But a numismatic value would be something where it goes beyond just the gold or just the silver bullion content. So a lot of times you see things that are commemorative. They'll have kind of a proof finish, meaning like a mirror-like finish, if you can see that. A little extra artwork, maybe, a shipwreck coin, things like that. That would be considered numismatic. Now, if you took that 100-ounce bar, sunk it in the ocean a couple hundred years ago and pulled it up, as long as you knew, hey, this was lost in the ocean a few hundred years ago, it could be super ugly, but it would have a very high numismatic value. Melt value, that's that's typically what some like a refinery or a pawn shop or someone that was buying either scrap metal or junk silver. You don't even really melt that, but something that is just going to get melted. There's a cost to doing the work in that melt. So when you sell that piece of metal to a refinery, they're going to give you the melt value. So obviously they're in business to make money. It's a highly competitive field. Most everybody does about the same. If you've got an old piece of metal that is definitely going to get melted, like old, maybe dated, ugly silverware that nobody wants, or think that it would not really hold much value, a lot of that stuff just gets melted. So that spot price will dictate the melt value price. It's typically about 5% below actual spot. Another definition that's, I think, very important, we do a ton of these, a qualified account. So just like a regular IRA or a Roth IRA, you get either tax advantages now or later, but it's inside an account. I tell people it's not necessary to open an IRA for precious metals if you can do the same thing just owning it. But a lot of times people will do a rollover where the funds are coming from a qualified account, a retirement account, and it's necessary to go through a custodian and have those stored somewhere until retirement. So those are some basic definitions. Why precious metals? Guys, that slide right there, it's you can't see it, but I've got that whole page filled up with a million different reasons. The world is changing. The world is actually, I think it's already changed. This is just the very beginning of it. The world started changing about, we'll say maybe 55 years ago or so, where the money system wasn't quite working. Petrodollar was working for us. It wasn't necessarily working for the rest of the world. Provided a huge benefit to those in the U.S., but inflation went crazy. Precious metals, especially silver, went crazy, and we went off of the gold system, the gold standard, because of speculators thinking that the price was going to drop in the US dollar. So, it was really throwing a wrench in the world economy. And interestingly, South Africa was really the first country that said, you know what, we're done with all this. So we're just going to make our gold. We'll sell it around the world. And they did. It was a lot. that was the first major coin in modern history to be sold around the world. It's not necessarily a super beautiful coin. It's 22 carats, got 1 ounce of gold, and 22 parts gold, almost 2 parts copper, but just a little bit of silver added in there. And what that did is it reawakened the need for something to have your money based on. Okay, and that couldn't be more prevalent. Think back when you were 16 years old, 14 years old, depending on when you got your driver's license. What was the price of gas? In my lifetime, I remember it in the low 60s as a kid. Here in Texas, I've seen it, well over $4. I know in a lot of places here in the United States, it's been $7, $8, $9, $10 a gallon. And it's not that it's harder to get petroleum made and put it in a pump or put it in a storage tank to be pumped out later. If anything, it's easier to do that now. It's easier to dig up gold than it was 50 years ago. The machinery's better, the technology's better. What's changed is the value of the dollar has dropped. So you ask why precious metals? Just go to my favorite chart, kitco.com, and that will show you. It's been on an absolute tear. It got as high as 122 for silver, almost at that $6,000 mark for gold. And even though that price has dropped, I think that demand is still right up there as high as it's ever been. Okay, we sell a lot of metal and that hasn't changed. And if anything, even in this drop, it's actually increased the demand. So why precious metals? That's it. The whole world's moving to a gold and silver backed currency, even here in the United States. Whether you believe it or not, that is what's happening. So why be an affiliate? Because as the world turns, you want to position yourself in front of a wave to capitalize on that. Are you being greedy? No, absolutely. Do your friends appreciate knowing the best place to buy precious metals at the best possible price? Absolutely. Is At Cost Metals going to send you enough money to take your friend to dinner? Absolutely. That's what we do. Okay, so it's not being greedy. They will appreciate you. We will appreciate you. Okay, it's just enough to say thank you. And for those that go above and beyond and actually build a network of affiliates, we take care of them in the same fashion. It's better to be an affiliate and for AtCost to pay our affiliates than it is to pay big tech. We'd rather keep that money here and use those funds for marketing inside our community and taking care of each other and allowing people to either, pay bills with it, buy more precious metals, whatever they want. But it just makes sense. That's what I call just a no-brainer. It's what the whole world calls a no-brainer. So we choose our affiliates. The same stuff that you can find elsewhere. This is not specific to At Cost Metals. This old Panda, there's, I guarantee, not a whole lot of these floating around. Try to do a search on a PCGS MS70 2011 Panda, right? You'd be hard pressed to find one. Same with these monkeys, 2016 Year of the Monkey. It's the exact same stuff. Take a look at our pricing. Go to the first page of Google, go to the 10th page of Google, compare us with everyone. No one beats our price. So if that makes sense, here we go, guys. All you've got to do is become a member, become an affiliate, tell people about it. Don't tell anybody about it. It's all up to you. We keep it nice and simple. Here it is. If you're looking at us as an affiliate, there's no guarantee of income just by signing up. You do have to sell something. I don't think it's very hard. Precious metals, the whole world's talking about the best possible price. You look like a genius. We pay you for that. That's it. So do your due diligence, guys. I want to say again, thank you so much for joining me. Antoine will be back on Tuesday. Wanted to take this opportunity to go over some simple definitions. We've got comp plan videos out there for all of our affiliates. It's very straightforward. There's a membership. You've got to have a membership to get access to the shopping cart, just like Costco. You got that membership. You can buy 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Website never goes down unless there's a problem with the cloud, something like that. But that shopping cart is always open, and we have no minimums, no maximums. It's wide open. And as an affiliate, you share that good news with other people, and we take care of you for doing that. So again, my name is Justin Davis. Thank you for joining me tonight. We'll see you on the next call Tuesday night, 8 Central. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a great night.